Okay, so I'm here with Mathew Faulkner from Canon, and we've just had your press conference and tour of the stand. I just wanted to pick out one or two things that struck me. Colorado has been hugely successful since it was launched, and it seems that you've got a strategy now of kind of building it, integrating it into a sort of bigger systems. Tell me a little bit about those processes and the industries you're integrating it with.
Our customers really want automation and they want high productivity for a range of applications. So the Colorado's already a highly productive, roll-to-roll printer with the UV gel technology. But we looked at how can we integrate with, input and output, so finishing, and then you need the jumbo roll inputs. So we looked at, first of all, the UV gel wallpaper factory. So collaborating with Photoba, this enables, there was a lot of interest in new applications like digital wallpaper and digital decor. So we first created the wallpaper factory, which enables you to have a jumbo roll of wallpaper material, which is the same material you would print if you were doing it on an analog process, through then to the Colorado for the printing itself. And then the Photoba finishing system, it can cut and splice the wallpaper and actually rolls it up and even tapes it ready for delivery. Okay. So it's that full end-to-end process.
Yeah, so is that helping the end user really to complete the solution?
Exactly. So if you think about web to print and personalization, and also the growth in the decor, it was kind of the perfect opportunity. And since then, we also developed the UV gel packaging factory. So again, packaging digitally, not so much is done except in the label business. So a great opportunity with, shorter run lengths, more designs are needed now. Brands are changing the way they go to market with the types of design, perhaps regional, perhaps more personalization. Packaging's being used as a communications touch piece. It's no longer just a protective item. It really communicates about the product. So we created the UV gel packaging factory to reproduce what would normally be called litho-lamination, but now it's pre-print corrugated. So you print on the Colorado from a jumbo roll, and then it goes into the Photoba will then cut it into squares or rectangles that then get laminated, corrugated, and it's cut and finished from there. So again, helping our customers move into new growth areas.
What is the technology within the Colorado that means you can now do this?
It's really about having the the input and output and the connection between the input device and the finishing device. Okay. So we've worked on that integration, and it works really well.
Okay. And how's it been felt in the market?
So we launched the UV gel packaging factory last year at Drupa, and the take-up has been fantastic, both from packaging converters who were making analog packaging, but perhaps they were outsourcing the digital prints, but also from print service providers who want to grow into this area. So we've sold quite a number of the packaging factories. Then from a wallpaper factory point of view, that was launched a few years ago, and that's been a huge hit. And I think now our customers produce more than 4 million square meters a year of just wallpaper. And that's both systems that's all systems that are dedicated. Some of them are dedicated standalone Colorado, and some of them are the wallpaper factories.
Okay, one other thing you mentioned that struck me was you talked about having varnish within the ink to help with keeping banners flat, which is clearly an issue. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
So it's an innovation for our Arizona technology, but this is done via the Prisma Guide software. This enables you to create a setting within a banner print. So when we print on a banner media, it's common to all UV printing. You get this kind of tension between the ink and the surface of the banner. So what we've done is when we're printing on the roll media option on the Arizona, we set up the job to introduce some varnish material into the layer of print. So it's not building up more layers, but it's just into the chemistry. And what this does, because varnish is the most flexible of our ink types on that system, it means it actually just reduces the tension and allows the banners to kind of lay flat. So looking at it, you'd never know the difference from an ink point of view, but you don't see the tension in the material.
That helps with transport and setting it up and installing and all that.
Yes, exactly. So it hangs and it's perfectly flat and so on. So.
Now, the other thing that you talked about, we're standing just by it here. There's obviously lots of people around, but it's the elevated printing. I think it's fascinating. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So we've been using elevated print for quite a few years on the Arizona. And we have a software called Prisma Elevate that helps you set up the job. So we can now print up to 4 millimeters thick. This has been used over the time for elevating imagery for the blind and visually impaired, for reproducing oil paintings from famous museums, but it's also been used to, to create a nice aesthetic effect. So what we're doing now is the next level. This is a study on the stand, so it's still a prototype, and we're working with the Fontys University in the Netherlands to use artificial intelligence to study an image and say, okay, how should this then be elevated? Because it's quite a manual process to create the elevation bitmap file you need. And artificial intelligence will look at the image and say, okay, if this is for an aesthetic purpose, then here's how the elevation should look. That just saves a lot of time. If this is then for the blind or visually impaired, the scene would actually be elevated in quite a different way. Because if you imagine an audio description of a scene or a braille description, you have to pick out the elevations in a way that someone can interpret it purely by touch. And what that means is we have a way to save time using artificial intelligence, but actually for very different purposes, aesthetic or for more accessibility of imagery. So I'm really excited that this is a future innovation we can commercialize.
Like I said, I can see throughout the presentation with all the software integrations you've got, clearly Canon is technically looking to build in new technologies to sort of enhance what you do on the printing side.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's something that we're not only thinking about our own innovations and own technology, but thinking about how our customers use them in their own businesses. And what's really important is an end-to-end workflow that's kind of seamless between different manufacturers. So where we can help inspire people towards a workflow right from a web shop through to the production and delivery, or whether it's with things like the UV gel factories and integrations with the poster factory we have on stand now has a flatbed cutting table integrated in a workflow. And I think that's what our customers are demanding, is not just individual pieces of technology, but something that is a turnkey solution.